Now, the Road Accident Fund has appeared before the Standing Committee on Public Accounts on various matters, including the ongoing litigation undertaken by the RAF against the Auditor-General. Now, the litigation is due to a disagreement between the RAF and the AG because of the RAF's decision to amend its accounting policy to use the International Public Sector Accounting Standard 42, which is not recognized in South Africa, for accounting standards for its 2020-2021 financial year. Now, in 2022-2023, the RAF continued to use IPSAS 42 for its claim liability and expenditure, which resulted in an adverse audit outcome by the AG. SCOPA also conducted oversight visits to the RAF in June and in August, raising concerns about the poor state of the Menlyn office, the culture of fear, and matters regarding duplicate payment of attorneys and firms. Well, with us this morning, we've got the SCOPA chair, Mkhuleko Hlengwa, who is going to discuss this as well as other matters. Always a pleasure having you. Thank you very, very much, Chair, for being with us.
Thank you very much, Leanne. Good morning to you and the viewers.
So, as I mentioned in the introduction, SCOPA visited the RAF in June and again in August this year. And last week, the RAF appeared before SCOPA. What did this meeting entail?
Well, they appeared twice. It was the week before, and last week was a follow-up. And what we are dealing with is the fact that the litigation which is in court, we do not believe that it is rational and reasonable. And we do not believe that it is the use of taxpayers' money in a manner which is in the collective interests of the Road Accident Fund, simply because last year already we had an engagement with the Road Accident Fund, the Accounting Standards Board, the Office of the Auditor-General, an Accountant General and the Auditor General on the key question that is irregular and not compliant with South African standards and therefore should not be used. Effectively, what the use of IPSAS 42 did at the stroke of a signature actually sanitized the books of the Road Accident Fund. It did away with their liabilities. It did away with the reporting as we know it on fruitless and irregular expenditure, wasteful expenditure, and so on. Now, the Auditor General has made a determination, and we believe that the Auditor General is correct on the basis of our own internal analysis as a committee. And this standoff, therefore, between the AG and RAF is going to set into motion a very difficult precedent for oversight and accountability and audit outcomes, because what RAF effectively wants is a negotiated audit outcome. And I think that the minister last week took the process in the right direction when she directed, as we have also been doing, to say, go and find an accounting standard that is appropriate, because RAF is raising questions about it being a social benefit fund versus it being an insurer, and so on and so forth. Part two of this, of course, is what resides with RAF themselves, which they have to do with the department and the portfolio committee on transport, which is bringing about amendments to the Road Accident Fund, which is going to be able to transform it to be fit for purpose and respond to the circumstances which they have presented. But that has to be done through a process of Parliament, which of course we know takes time. Until then, the status quo remains. You cannot short-circuit things and then bring about standards which are not recognized. So the bottom line is we agree with the AG and the Office of the Accountant General and the SAB that the use of IPSAS 42 is irregular and incorrect, and therefore the disclaimed audit outcome that the AG gave is warranted.
So what do you think is behind the RAF actually not willing to give in? I mean, what is the correct accounting principle? Because as we said, you know, the RAF was awarded a disclaimer audit opinion for 2020 and 2021 financial year, but continued to use IPSAS 42 for 2022-2023. So talk to me about this. What is the actual right correcting accounting principle?
Well, that's what we've said. They must go and find if they are contesting it, and because they are raising issues about the RSF 4.3, which they've been using, which they don't believe is correct. Okay, fine. If you don't think it's correct, find one that works. The AG has told you that IPSAS 42 is not the one. That's the long and short of it. My assessment is that at the directive of the minister then, Minister Mbalula, who had said to the new board they must turn things around, they sort of misinterpreted that to mean do anything and everything, even if it means it's outside the law, because Minister Mbalula then wrote to the committee indicating that he has directed that they must pull out of court and heed the guidance and advice of the Auditor-General, which up to now they have not done so. So my assessment is that there's a heightened level of arrogance and hard-headedness at RAF to admit that they've erred. They've made a mistake, and the mistake, of course, is costly, and it does come with consequences, which, amongst others, would mean are these executives and directors fit for purpose? And it is only fair then for us, once this process is done, to go back and assess the nature of the process which was undertaken. And for this, I see that there are other factors which we'll have to look at, but at face value, you are dealing with a very, very hard-headed institution which believes that they are right. Let me make this analogy, Leanne, because I think it's appropriate, and I've placed it before, RAF. You remember in the movie Matilda when Miss Trunchbull says, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm big, you're small, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the attitude of RAF. Yeah. They do not take advice from anyone. The relevant bodies in the oversight ecosystem have given due guidance in terms of the process that they must undertake to deal with this matter, because they also didn't have National Treasury authorization for this change. They only went to National Treasury after the fact. So the whole process in its entirety was flawed, yet they still want to go to court because they have to nurse an ego of some sort, which I think in itself is reckless and irresponsible governance
which the minister
practice.
And the minister himself said there are no winners if you do go to court, and we can understand that as well. But it certainly feels and appears as if things are not right at RAF. I mean, you told the minister that the things are bad at RAF. There is a culture of fear. There are questions around the speed at which claims are handled. In addition to SCOPA's concerns, the public perception is massive as well, and the idea that RAF is full of corrupt officials, it's poor financial management, and it's insolvent. Let's perhaps talk to its current state right now. How does it look right now?
Things are bad. That is the alpha and omega of the RAF story. Things are bad, and they are perpetually in court, in part because that's the nature of RAF, but also in part because RAF in itself is not doing the things that they are meant to be doing. RAF is not responding to guidance and advice. They are not responding to the management letters that the AG is issuing and the audit outcomes correctly. There's a culture of fear at RAF. We've done oversights, as you have mentioned. And the problem is that RAF is no longer a going concern. And they are technically insolvent. It is our assessment as a committee that that situation will prevail for so long as there are no changes insofar as document management, process management. Yes, some things have been done right. They have established the call center. They are undergoing a legislative review, which is important. But that's all going to take time. As things stand now, the public is right to be concerned, and I think that by our own assessment, we are justified in our concern. Something has got to give, and we had assumed that the new board would be able to grapple with these matters with the kind of urgency that is required, and I do believe that the minister must make an intervention to assert the authority of the board over the executives of RAF. I think that the executives have become a runaway train, much to the extent of undermining the board, and the board in itself actually needs to push back and assert themselves, because they are the accounting authority and ultimately accountable and responsible.
All right, we have to leave it there. I know there was so much more I wanted to speak on, whether it was ESCOM, SAA, Denel, Transnet, all of these things. But we'll get you back. We know that you're having a very short holiday. There's lots to do. SCOPA Chair Mkhuleko Hlengwa talking to us about the RAF and the Auditor-General, that dispute that's currently underway.